Each of these cascading marbles is worth 4,000 yuan. Players launch marbles through a jungle of steel nails toward a 3-tiered turntable. Only the red holes on each tier allow passage to the next. Landing a marble in the red hole of the 3rd tier wins all accumulated marbles below, totaling 1.3 billion yuan. This uncle has played for 30 years yet never reached the 3rd tier's red hole. Xiaotian instantly spotted the issue, explaining the machine was rigged by the organizers. Ordinary methods couldn't possibly succeed. The uncle had long known this, hence he built one at his home. One he built a marble machine at home. Now he just needed 2 partners. First, Xiaotian, whom he promised 20 million yuan upon success. Xiaotian agreed. The other was Yumei, whom Xiaotian recognized as the uncle's daughter from the previous game. A fee of Fakshan La Li. After learning her father's cause of death, Yumei infiltrated the DI group, awaiting her chance for revenge. With perfect timing and conditions, the uncle began explaining his plan to both. First, Xiaotian enters the casino alone, subject to a body search. To divert attention, the uncle enters at a staggered time. He exchanges 10 million yuan for marbles to play. The game has 2 challenges. The first is the steel nail jungle. If the nail array is arranged in a C shape, most marbles won't reach the 3-tier turntable. But if the nail array is arranged in a single row pattern, yes, most marbles can easily enter the 3-layer disc. This greatly increases the chances of success. Moreover, after years of research, Uncle has figured out the machine's lucky days. According to plan, everything progressed smoothly. The next major challenge was the 3 consecutive rotating discs. The first level has 1 winning hole among 3 openings. The second has 1 among 4. The third has 1 among 5. Calculated this way, the final winning probability is 1/60th. But reality is much lower than this probability. However, if you can curve the steel ball's trajectory, turning the hole becomes easy. So Uncle used the principle of magnets. But doing this openly wouldn't work. Uncle had already devised a plan. He installed magnets inside beer cans. This allowed Yumei, a staff member who doesn't frisk people, to first give the beer to Xiaotian. Then she seized the chance to swap Xiaotian's magnet can with Uncle's can. Thus, no one was any the wiser. Finally, 1 marble entered the 3rd disc. Uncle brought the can near the machine, attempting to alter the marble's path. The marble rolled toward the red hole, but it still fell into a non-winning hole. Uncle was utterly stunned. It was just that close. He decided to try another 10 million marbles. This was his entire pension, minus child support. Winning could win back his wife and child. A huge batch of marbles poured in simultaneously, passing through each level. Soon, another marble reached it. The uncle gripped his beer tightly and approached the machine on the 3rd rotating disc. As expected, the ball changed direction. Just when everyone thought victory was assured, the ball rolled into another hole. Unable to bear the devastating blow, the uncle fainted on the spot, rushed over to assist the fallen uncle. The executive suddenly noticed the soda can that had trapped the ball. We're doomed. We're doomed. Picking up that can would reveal their cheating evidence. But to their astonishment, the lifted can contain no rare ball. Woo! As they stood utterly confused, the executive explained, to resist magnetic force, the steel ball was made of a steel-brass alloy. Just then, Yumei emerged. So Yumei had betrayed them. However, the organizers showed mercy, not only overlooking their cheating, but also inviting them to another game. Winning would grant them 30 million. The next challenge tested human nature more severely. Princess and slave. A stark lion emerged from a steel gate, unfed for days. A beautiful princess stepped out from another gate. A young man drowning in millions of debt was pulled out by staff. An iron chain shackled his ankle. Choose the correct button to open the right gate from Qi. Choosing wrong would make him the lion's meal. The princess was actually his girlfriend. Right then, the young man proposed to her. Deeply moved, his girlfriend declared that with him by her side, she needed no fortune. The game commenced. Only the young man couldn't see which gate was correct. It was number 2. The guy asked his girlfriend, "Sweetie, what's the correct number?" His girlfriend glanced at the display, flashed a sinister smile, and said, "Number 1. Without hesitation, the guy pressed button number 1. The iron gate slowly began to rise. A lion emerged from within. It lunged straight towards the guy. The poor guy became the lion's dessert, just like that. Meanwhile, his girlfriend walked away with a 3 million yen prize. Such is the terrifying nature of humanity. Next up was Xiaotian's turn. Xiaotian faced Princess Yumei, the girl who had once betrayed him. To increase the difficulty, the organizers added a troublemaker, the bespectacled man who had deceived Xiaotian in the first game. He immediately claimed Xiaotian had pushed Yumei's father off the iron bridge. Such a cunning divisive tactic. The game officially began. Xiaotian pleaded, "Can you tell me the correct number?" The girl remained expressionless and silent. She seemed disturbed by the earlier words. Suddenly, the bespectacled man appeared remorseful. He said he also hated the DI group, claiming he had been forced earlier. He then told Xiaotian to choose number 2. Yumei checked the answer and told him it was number 3. The middle-aged man realized then it must be number 1. Neither of the two who had deceived him before could be trusted. That left only number 1. The lion was already eager for its meal. Just as Xiaotian felt overwhelmed, a man suddenly spoke to him. The most important thing in making a choice is resolve. Resolve, act quickly. Hurry up and press the button. And this man, Rigonakawa, the man who previously fought against Xiaotian as the emperor and the slave. Just 1 day ago, he told Xiaotian, first is courage, second is audacity, third is resolve. After pondering briefly, Xiaotian pressed button number 3. At this moment, the iron door slowly opened. Behind this iron door was the princess. Xiaotian said to Yumei, "Shouldn't I thank you properly?" Yumei replied, "Don't flatter yourself. The organizers made me say all that. They believe that if I revealed the correct number, you'd definitely suspect me. But they never expected Xiaotian would actually choose number 3. Meanwhile, the glasses-wearing man who failed to sow discord was dragged in to become the lion's meal. Now, with this 30 million startup fund, Xiaotian, Uncle, and Rigonakawa will team up to challenge the hardest pachinko game. Beating this game earns a 1.3 billion yen prize. Each marble dropping like water is worth 4,000 yen. The player launches a marble. The marble travels through the steel nail jungle to reach the 3-tier turntable. Only the red holes on each level's turntable allow passage to the next layer. Guiding a marble to the red hole of the 3rd circle wins all accumulated marbles below. Total value 1.3 billion yen prize. Xiaotian launched a marble. The marble passed easily through the steel nail jungle. Then an executive appeared and halted the game. Don't think I don't know. You disguised yourselves as movers to infiltrate the building. You switched the marbles for smaller ones in advance. That's why the marbles could pass through the steel nails so easily. As he spoke, he grabbed a handful of, placing the marble on the measuring tray. Who knew the marble's size was normal? It turns out Xiaotian never actually swapped the marbles. Then how could the marble pass through the steel peg forest so effortlessly? Xiaotian swapped an adjustment tool used to set the spacing between the steel pegs. Xiaotian's team had chiseled through the concrete slab above the manager's office 2 months earlier. Then, while the manager's office was empty, they used an electromagnet to lift the adjustment tool upward. They replaced the steel ball at the top of the adjustment tool with a larger one, then placed the adjustment tool back. This way, when the person in charge was adjusting the steel peg spacing, he himself widened the adjusted spacing. Only then did the person in charge realize, but it seemed too late, because Xiaotian's marble had navigated a long distance and reached the turntable. Even though the steel forest was rendered ineffective, the person in charge remained unruffled, because he had already adjusted the turntable's tilt, positioning the red hole upward, to prevent guests from discovering the machine itself could also tilt. Even the entire room's floor could be tilted via remote control. But even so, Xiaotian's marble still ran uphill against the slope. At that moment, the person in charge finally understood. Xiaotian had tilted the entire building. But how did Xiaotian accomplish such a grand project? The answer was water. Xiaotian built 20 water storage tanks using plastic troughs. Each storage tank could hold 1 ton of water. This way, Xiaotian completed a total water storage capacity of 20 tons. So now the turntable is in a level state, but what's to cope with the current level situation? Okay, the person in charge took out the remote and set the tilt to maximum. Xiaotian's last marble failed to enter the red hole. But Xiaotian quickly noticed no marbles were coming out of the discharge hole. This meant the person in charge had set the tilt too steep, causing the discharge hole to angle upwards. This would only clog the pipes. So, as long as there were enough marbles to completely fill the black holes, they would eventually enter the red hole. Everyone then invested their life savings to buy more marbles. Rigenchuan hurried out to find more money. Meanwhile, Xiaotian kept feeding marbles. Soon, the first level's disc was completely filled. Then the second level's disc gradually filled up too. But due to insufficient marbles, they ultimately couldn't reach the third level. Staff prepared to drag Xiaotian away. However, right at that, Rigenchuan arrived just in time with the money. Xiaotian used the final 10 million to keep feeding marbles. As one marble entered the third level, the tension reached its peak. Just as the marble was about to slide into the red hole, it flipped upside down instantly and was flung off by it. Xiaotian hadn't anticipated their trump card, the air blast. As the marbles on the third level were blown away one by one by the air blast, Xiaotian had now exhausted all his marbles. Staff were carrying Xiaotian away. When Yumei, who had been watching all along, offered timely help, she lent Xiaotian 100 million. With a massive influx of marbles, the third level's disc was also completely filled. The air blast released by the red sub-cylinder seemed on the verge of failing. Finally, with Xiaotian shot, the roar of air couldn't support the weight of the marbles in the end. A massive wave of marbles poured into the red holes. As the machine truck roared victoriously, Xiaotian finally won the marble game. The 4 of them got the 1.3 billion prize money as they wished. According to investment ratios, each carried bags brimming with cash. Each went their separate ways. Deeply moved, Xiaotian thanked Yumei. But Yumei said, "Idiot, everyone was just in it for the money." Just as Xiaotian was about to leave, Li Genchuan suddenly called out to him, wanting to play one more round of the Emperor and Slave game with him. So the thoughtless Xiaotian got into a car. Just as Xiaotian prepared to play his card, car's trunk suddenly burst into flames. Seeing this, the two panicked and jumped out of the car. With the car's explosion, both their fortunes turned to ash. Then, Li Genchuan gave Xiaotian the only 50,000 yuan he had left. Foolishly, Xiaotian took the money and went to celebrate with friends. Meanwhile, Li Genchuan drove off in a luxury car with their combined fortune. It turned out Li Genchuan had planned it all along. He had switched the money in the trunk. After celebrating with his friends, Xiaotian was once again left with only a few coins. Yet the path of the game still awaited him. This is a life reversal card. The top prize is up to 1 billion yuan. As soon as the organizers announced the game location, a flood of passionate youths surged frantically towards the site. Perched atop an 8-meter high iron pole was the life reversal card. Soon the crowd gathered at the base of the pole, began piling on top, scrambling to climb up, while Xiaotian was being sneaky at. Pretend to fall while running, then dash up to the rooftop. He knew a frontal assault was hopeless, so he resorted to walking along the rail tracks again. Clever, but extremely risky. Meanwhile, youth teamed up to hoist a comrade upwards. But he was quickly shoved off. Suddenly, a drone appeared in the sky, operated by this chubby kid Xiaopang. The drone now hovered above the card, preparing to grab it with a mechanical arm. The crowd below panicked instantly, frantically attacking the drone with slingshots. What do you know, sandals, socks, underwear, all hurled at it. Xiaopang tried desperately to evade the barrage, but overwhelmed by numbers, the drone ultimately crashed. Just then, Xiaotian neared the end of the rail tracks. Fortunately, he was spotted again by those below. As Xiaotian reached for the card, tracks suddenly started moving. A few guys were shaking the rails behind him. Xiaotian was begging desperately, but the crowd below started egging him on, determined to shake Xiaotian off. Meanwhile, some people quietly climbed the pole. By the time everyone noticed, the man had already reached the top. Xiaotian got fired up. He leapt down, but the card landed in the man's hands. Xiaotian plunged down from 8 meters high. The crowd cheered for the victor. As the man tried to input 100 million, the machine didn't respond. He asked the organizer if the card was broken. The organizer explained, this card has fingerprint recognition and only works for... The first hand to touch the card reacted. Only then did the man realize the truth. Xiaotian was actually the first to touch the card. Dov rushed over to assist him. Xiaotian was still dazed from the fall. Unaware he stood at life's peak. Surprisingly, Xiaotian didn't claim the billion yuan prize, instead choosing the magic key on the back, gaining life-altering secret info. All thanks to his ever-adventurous heart. Xiaotian used the card to open a door, where a girl already waited. Her name was Naiko. During her second game event, pushed down by someone nearby, she should have missed victory. But a card drifted from the sky, landing right on her forehead. That card is the magic key. It also represents the game's winner. Then, an old man in a wheelchair appears. He is the organizer of this game. The chairman sought them out. because he values Nico's exceptional luck and Xiaotian's ambitious nature, because someone plans to issue a new currency. This would cause everyone's bank savings to depreciate significantly. The chairman is a good man. He hopes to contribute to the people within his lifetime. He currently has only 50 billion funds to stop the new currency issuance. He needs 100 billion to bribe the higher-ups, and he has only 10 days. The only way is through the game, and Xiaotian will receive a handsome reward. Next, they will participate in the